I know what you are thinking. You are keep getting rejected in data analyst interviews where they are asking about Power BI interview questions. So that is why I am creating this video. In this video, we are going to go over 50 Power BI interview questions along with the answers so that you are ready for your next interview. What is Power BI? Power BI is a powerful data visualization and business intelligence tool provided by Microsoft. It helps converting raw data into interactive dashboards and reports. I have used it to simplify complex data into interactive visualization. So this is how you need to answer when you are asked what is Power BI. What are the key components of Power BI? The key components of Power BI are Power BI Desktop, Power BI Service, and Power BI Mobile. What is Power BI Desktop? Power BI Desktop is a desktop application used for creating and publishing reports. What is Power BI Service? Power BI Service is an online service for sharing and collaborating on Power BI reports. See, fifth question is really important. This will be, I can guarantee you that this question will be asked in your Power BI interview. Difference between calculated column and measures and how they are helpful while creating report. Calculated columns work on row context, performing the calculations row by row, while measures operate on filter context, offering results on the fly based on filters. Calculated columns take up space in the model and are physically present, allowing relationships. Measures do not take space and cannot have relationships. So this is how you need to answer when you are asked about difference between calculated column and a measure. So when you create a calculated column, it will create a new column, and that will increase the space for the data model because you are creating a new column in your table, whereas a measure is just a calculation which you write by writing the DAX formula. And once you write that, that measure will be implemented when you use that in a visual. Until you use that in a visual, that measure will not take up any storage. Generally, measures do not take up any storage even if you add that to a card visual, for example, because measures are implemented when you use the report, whereas a calculated column are the columns that are created in your table. So that is the key difference between calculated column and a measure. Let's go to next question. What are Power BI dashboards? So in Power BI, there is a lot of difference between a report and a dashboard. A report will have multiple pages, and this is generally what you have in your Power BI desktop. You can create multiple pages and you can create a report in Power BI desktop, whereas a dashboard is a single page, and it is often called canvases that use visualizations to tell a story. So one key point here is are dashboards can be created only in Power BI service. You cannot create dashboards in Power BI desktop. So dashboards are basically useful when you want some important visualizations from a report which has multiple pages. So we can take some visuals from the report which has 2 or 3 pages and create a single page with some important visuals. So this is what you call a dashboard, and you can only create it in Power BI service. Next question, what is a Power BI report? A report is a multi-perspective view into a data set with visualizations representing different insights from the data set. So basically, in simple terms, Power BI report is what you will have when you create the report in your Power BI desktop. It will have multiple pages. What is DAX? DAX is data analysis expressions. It is a formula language used in Power BI, Power Pivot, and SSAS for creating custom calculations. So DAX is for creating DAX measures, and it is also used to create calculated columns and calculated tables. So DAX is the formula language which is used in Power BI to create formulas. What are some common data sources for Power BI? Power BI has a lot of data sources which you can connect to in order to get the data into Power BI desktop. Some common data sources include Excel, SQL Server, Azure, SharePoint, and web data. How do you refresh data in Power BI? Data can be refreshed manually in Power BI desktop or automatically scheduled in the Power BI service. What are Power BI visualizations? Visualizations are graphical representation of data such as charts, graphs, maps, etc. What is Power Query? Power Query is a data connection technology that enables you to discover, connect, combine, and refine data across a wide variety of sources. So, Power Query is used in Power BI desktop in order to do data collection. You can connect to multiple data sources using Power Query, data cleaning, and data transformations. So, all of these, whatever you do before creating the data model, these are generally done in Power Query. What is the use of Power BI Gateway? The gateway is used to securely connect on-premises data sources to Power BI. Let's say you have a data source in your local, in your computer, and you do not want to put that data into the cloud due to some security reasons. Maybe the data may have some sensitive information which you do not want to upload into the cloud. So in that case, you can create a Power BI gateway. So this gateway enables you to securely connect to the data source, which is your CSV file, to Power BI. And whenever there is change in this data source, those changes should reflect in the Power BI service when you do data refresh. That is why you need a Power BI gateway. What are calculated columns in Power BI? Calculated columns are new data columns created using DAX formulas based on other columns in the data set. What are measures in Power BI? Measures are calculations used in data analysis, such as sums, averages, or more complex aggregations created using DAX. What is a data model in Power BI? A data model is a collection of tables, relationships, and calculations that underpin a Power BI report. So, this is your core feature in Power BI. You can create multiple you can create, you can connect to multiple tables, you can create relationships between the tables, and you can write complex calculations in order to give some useful insights to the end users. So for this you need the data model. This is what we call the semantic layer of Power BI, semantic model, in which you include you will have everything like tables, relationships, and calculations. How do you create a relationship between tables in Power BI? Relationships can be created by dragging and dropping fields between tables in the relationship view, or you can also connect to you can create relationships directly in Power Query by using merge functionality. So there you can join multiple tables based on common columns, based on primary key and foreign keys. So mainly in the data model perspective, you generally create relationships on the front end side of Power BI in the Power BI desktop. So there you can drag and drop the fields between tables in the relationship view. What is a slicer in Power BI? A slicer is a visual filter that allows users to segment data in a report. What is a Power BI template? A template is a file that includes a Power BI report definition and layout, but not the data itself, allowing users to create new reports based on predefined structure. What is the use of get data feature in Power BI? The get data feature is used to connect to and import data from various sources into Power BI. What is a drill through in Power BI? Drill throughs allows users to navigate to a different report page that is filtered to display specific details. Basically, drill through is a new report page in which you provide additional details so that the users can navigate to that page and see the details based on the data that they have filtered to display some specific details related to their selection. How can you share Power BI reports? Reports can be shared via the Power BI service by publishing them and sharing links or workspaces with others. What is a custom visual in Power BI? Custom visuals are additional visual types that can be imported into Power BI to extend its visualization capabilities. You will have the default visuals in Power BI like column charts, bar charts, pie charts, donut charts, and waterfall, and you have a lot of you have a lot of default visuals in Power BI, and you can also create custom visuals in Power BI. You can import custom visuals from the Power BI marketplace, in which you will have some custom you will have a lot of custom visuals there. uh, you can download that visual and you can use that for your report. So these are the custom visuals in Power BI. What are Power BI apps? Power BI apps are collections of dashboards and reports that are bundled together and can be shared with other users. This is mainly useful if you want to restrict access to your reports and dashboards to specific group of users. So you can create a Power BI app in which you add the reports and you can share the reports by using the app. Next is, what is KPI in Power BI? KPI is key performance indicator. It is a visual cue that communicates the amount of progress made toward a measurable goal. For every industry, we will have different KPIs. For example, if we take HR industry, it will have KPIs like headcount, and it will have some additional KP it will have some additional KPIs like percentage of male, percentage of female, and percentage of people who are in a specific position, like that. And if we take retail, for example, it will have KPIs like percentage margin, profit margin, and sales amounts. So these anything that communicates the amount of progress made toward a measurable goal is called a KPI. How do we handle large data sets in Power BI? Large data sets can be managed using data reduction techniques such as aggregating the data. So you can use different functions in Power BI like sum, group by, in order to aggregate the data. So this will uh, reduce the calculation time for the calculations if you have some complex calculations with large data sets. And also it will decrease the size of the Power BI file when you use aggregations. And you also use incremental data refresh in order to update the data based on some conditions, like for the last 3 months, updating the data for last 3 months incrementally. Next, what is row level security in Power BI? Row level security allows you to restrict data access for certain users based on roles defined within Power BI. So we have covered row level security. What is row level security? Types of row level security in Power BI in a separate video. So you need to go through that video to clearly understand what is row level security in Power BI. You can find the link of that video in the description of this video. What is a calculated table in Power BI? A calculated table is a new table created in Power BI using DAX expressions. How do you optimize Power BI reports for performance? Optimizing is a major part in Power BI reports, especially when you are looking at performance. There are some techniques which you can implement, like reducing the data model size, using efficient DAX calculations, minimizing visuals in each page, and optimizing queries. What are Power BI workspaces? Workspaces are collaborative environments where users can create, share, and manage reports and dashboards. What is Power BI Embedded? Power BI Embedded is a service that allows you to embed Power BI reports and dashboards into your custom applications. What is the purpose of Power BI REST API? The REST API allows developers to programmatically interact with Power BI service, automating tasks like embedding reports, creating datasets, and refreshing data. How do you create a custom date table in Power BI? A custom date table there are a lot of ways to create a custom date table. It can be created by using DAX, or if you have if you have a date table in your data source, it can be imported from source, or we can create a table in Power Query for date, and we can use that date table calculations in our calculations which are related to dates. So mainly there are two ways you can create the date table. First one is using Power Query. You can create a table by writing the M language code, or you can use DAX to create the custom date table. Explain the use of calculate function in DAX. Calculate changes the context in which the data is evaluated, allowing for advanced filtering and manipulation of measures and calculated columns. So calculate is mainly used for changing the context. So it will change the context from row context to filter context. So this is the most commonly used DAX function. So most of the time you will definitely use calculate in your calculations. What are hierarchies in Power BI? Hierarchies allow you to organize data into levels such as year, quarter, month, enabling drill down capabilities in visualizations. What is a data flow in Power BI? The data flow is a collection of tables created and managed in Power BI service used to streamline data preparation and ETL processes. A data flow is similar to Power Query in our Power BI desktop. So that is used for performing data cleaning and data transformations inside Power BI service. Explain the use of filter function in DAX. The filter function returns a table that includes only rows that meet the specified criteria. It is often used in combination with calculate. What are the benefits of using Power BI Premium? Power BI Premium offers dedicated capacity, larger dataset sizes, more frequent data refreshes, and advanced AI capabilities. Explain the use of calculate function in DAX. Calculate changes the context in which the data is evaluated and allowing you for advanced filtering and manipulation of measures and calculated columns. What is incremental refresh in Power BI? Incremental refresh is a process in Power BI which allow you to update only the data that has changed. So rather than refreshing the entire data set, it is it will keep the data that you already have and refresh only the data that has updated based on the specified time frame, and it will improve the performance and efficiency because it is not loading the entire data again. It is just updating whatever there is whenever there is change. So that is incremental refresh in Power BI. How do you create a measure to calculate year over year growth in Power BI? So in order to calculate year over year growth, we need to use DAX functions like calculate same period last year in order to get the uh, For example, if you are calculating sales year over year over year growth of sales, you need to get the sales amount for last year. So you need to use same period last year and divide to create measures that compare the current and previous year values and calculate growth. What is Power BI report server? Power BI report server is an on-premises report server that allows you to create, publish and manage Power BI reports and paginated reports. Or explain the use of related function in DAX. Related returns a value from a related table, allowing you to use columns from related tables in your calculations. For example, if you have two tables and those two tables have a relationship between the tables, you can use related function to bring a column from another table, and you can get the values based on the relationship between those two tables. How do you implement dynamic titles in Power BI visuals? We can use measures and conditional formatting to create titles that change based on slicer selections or other user inputs. What is the purpose of values function in DAX? Values function returns a one column table of values, unique values from a specified column, and it is often used to create dynamic calculations. What are parameters in Power BI? Parameters are used to create dynamic reports by allowing users to input values that filter or change data in the report. A parameter is basically the ability for the user to change a particular value, and based on the change it will dynamically update all the details in the report. So that is why you need a parameter. For example, if you are calculating, if you want to see how much the percentage of discount, by how much we can get the profit by changing the percentage of discount, so here you can use a parameter to change the discount percentage, and that will show us by how much we can get the profit if we change the discount percentage. How do you use the switch function in DAX? Switch function evaluates an expression against a list of values and returns the corresponding result, similar to a case statement in programming or in SQL. So this is similar to what we already have in SQL or Python. Explain the concept of context transition in DAX. Context transition occurs when row context is converted to filter context, typically when using calculate or certain iterators in DAX. So a calculate function basically converts the context of the calculation. This is especially useful when you want to customize the way you want to represent the data. For example, if you select a filter, you still want to see the calculation, for example, total sales. So the filter should not be affected even if you select. In that case, you can use calculate, and you can use some additional DAX functions like all except in order to implement that functionality. What is the purpose of all except function in DAX? All except removes all filters from a table except from the specified columns, useful for calculating values in a specific context. How do you handle circular dependencies in DAX? To avoid circular dependencies, you need to restructure the calculations and ensure no measure or calculated column depends on itself directly or indirectly. Explain the difference between direct query and import mode in Power BI. Import mode imports data into Power BI, and this data will be present inside Power BI desktop. So it will provide fast performance because the data is already there, and it will give full functionality to all the DAX measures and everything that you can do in Power BI, whereas a direct query gets the data directly from the source. So basically it is like a connection to the data source, in which you will not have the data in Power BI desktop, but you will get the data when you query the source. For example, if you use a DAX measure and you are using direct query, so that data will come when that query is implemented. For example, if you want to display total sales and you do not, and you are connecting your data source by using direct query mode, it will be updated when you open the report. Until then it will not query the data source. So this allows for real-time data access, but it will have some limitations on features and performance. So we have covered more than 50 questions in this video, and I hope you have got really good understanding of what is Power BI and what are the key features of Power BI. And I believe that these questions will definitely help you in cracking the interviews related to Power BI, related to Power BI role. So if you want all the resources including this PDF, you can get all the data analytics resources from this link, and you can subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos like this. So I would like to thank you for joining me in this video. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.